Oh, it's gonna pop off, I'll tell ya.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Yes, friends, what's poppin'? Welcome back to Football Therapy. Not in the office today, back at the desk here. The light's not working here, I'm afraid, so I'm a little bit on the dark on this side, but hey, maybe it's fine. Maybe I still look good. Hopefully. Anyway, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about Leicester in the FA Cup this weekend at home just before the international break. My word, it would be terrible if we lose this. We can talk about that just in case it does happen, how we're going to emotionally cope or what will happen. Of course, lots of other stuff to talk about as well. Pochettino spotted at Brighton yesterday with Paul Winstanley. He also said a couple of interesting things in his pre-match presser. I'm going to build a lineup as well for the game. Leicester, of course, top of the championship, though their lead isn't as strong as it was, so that will be their primary focus. Everything is on winning the championship, although they've got their own problems, bro. They're going to get a points deduction at the beginning of next season should they get promoted, because they've fallen foul of the PSR rules, which apparently only relate to the Premier League. They're not in the Premier League, but if they get promoted back in, they're going to get slam dunked with a bunch of points deduction, which is something they need to deal with at the time. See, yeah, when the sun goes in, I get darker. I think there's clouds going by. It's a shame the light doesn't work. I'll find the adapter again. So yeah, man, it is interesting, of course, because we're on the eve of an international break, and with that, they'll probably think, well, might as well go for it. We haven't got players going to, there are very few players going on international break. We can rest for a couple of weeks or whatever. So they might just absolutely go for it at Stamford Bridge. And yeah, we'll talk about how the game can go when I build my lineup, because they do like to play with the ball, Leicester. Anyway, just a quick reminder to support the content, only if you want to, but if you choose to, hit that sweet, sweet bell, baby. Alright, mate. So, Pochettino spoke in the pre-match press conference. Some players, of course, Chilwell's back in training. He referenced that. We'll look at the injury update in just a moment from Chelsea FC. Look, I've gone dark again. God darn it. But he also had said something interesting, because he spoke about getting to Wembley in the FA Cup, and he said to beat Leicester it will be massive for us. In private, of course, we want to get to Wembley again. He said between you and me, which obviously is very much a second language thing, because it's between you and me, everyone else here in this room, and all the hundreds of people watching this broadcast, and the thousands of people that will watch the recording, as well as the millions of people that will hear it third person from the reports. So between you, me, and those millions of people that I'm addressing, some players didn't sleep before the Carabao Cup final, he says, highlighting Chelsea's inexperience. I get that from Nizar Kinsella's Twitter. Every time a cloud goes past, I get dark. Sorry, guys, I'll sort out the lighting soon. Yeah, man, so I know it's kind of like Poch's excuses again, and people don't want to hear it, but maybe, do you know what I mean? Like, if you don't sleep before a final because you're a young player and a young team and it's all a bit like, then yes, it's going to make it harder. And to be honest, again, when Pochettino says, forget the old Chelsea, forget the golden generation and stuff, this is different. People got rightly annoyed at that. Like, what are you talking about? Stop trying to condition us for failure or mediocrity. I think this is kind of what he's saying as well. Like, Didier Drogba, I doubt he didn't sleep the night before Carabao Cup final. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying it was Jackson who didn't sleep, but do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. That's maybe a little bit more of the new Chelsea that we all collectively need to accept. Like, yeah, these are young players that don't have this, they don't have a freaking Virgil van Dijk to lean on in that final. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of get it. Bit of sympathy there. And we move. So let's have a look at the injury situation then. Chelsea's official website. Positives here. Benoit Badiashile is in team training and Ben Chilwell is in team training. Of course, Pochettino joked in his presser Gareth already told you that Chilwell's been training with his team, which he's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but it's probably a bit annoyed. You don't want Leicester to know that he's been team training for a while. You want to keep your powder dry a little bit in that sense, but whatever. of course, still out. It's a shame to see Colwell still out for a while. We know Fofana and James will be out for a while. Lavia, no one knows what the ruddy heck's going on with Lavia. Same with Christopher and Nkunku. Those two guys represent a straight up. But to be honest, and Leslie at the bottom as well. All three of those guys represent a mystery that no one can solve. And Matt Law said that on the Londoners Blue Pod as well. He's like, no one really knows what's going on with Nkunku. And I would put, Ugachukwu and Lavia in as well, because they sort of came back and then they were gone again, So that's tough. But knowing the players that are available and aren't available, I've built a lineup. So let's just hop into that now. Bink. There we go. That was quick, wasn't it? So I'm going for 4-2-3-1 rather than a 4-3-3. And yes, you're probably noticing off the bat some changes there. Now, Poch doesn't... So, I was in two minds here, because Poch can go, I say, inverted commas, full strength, because we've got the international break. I do think he can do that. And maybe there'll be a stronger starting lineup than this. But we'll talk about it a little bit first. I do think Sanchez will be in goal. I think he's fit again, and he doesn't want to bomb him out completely, especially with the trust here at the beginning of the season. Of course, the last game and the cup, I believe it was, he didn't look great, but he will just get his chance again. He will. I'm pretty certain of that, especially while it's where we are. Maybe Wembley. We'll go back to Petrovic if we get there, but still. So I think Chilwell will play. It's against his former club. I know it's a while since he's been there now, but I feel like he'll want to. Cucurella, it was good, but he was very defensive. I feel like there'll be space to run into. I just feel like Chilwell will start this game. Of course, Chilwell's got the call up to England as well. He probably wants to show Gareth Southgate that, yeah, I'm good to go, mate. Pew, 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 pew. Play me or consider me. And with that, I think Thiago Silva will return to the side. Of course, he's rode the bench for the last few games. He is fit and good to go. I don't think he'll just be bombed out and that's the end of his Chelsea career, because I think games like this will present an opportunity to play Thiago Silva. And I might be a little bit premature here putting in Benoit Badiashile, but if he's in full team training, a left-footed centre-back on the left-hand side seems pretty good to me, man. And of course, Badiashile, Silva and Disasi can all communicate in French. Now, Disasi could be replaced here by Marc Cucurella. Cucurella, of course, has played a lot of right back for Chelsea, so let's just put him in now, Cucurella, and I just think personally we're going to risk Malo Gusto. We've absolutely, cooked Malo Gusto, and I do have a feeling we're just going to finally give him a well-earned rest. Of course, he's just been called up to the French under-21s, which is mental, but, he's still young. He will play for... I think he's already been called up to the France first team. He will play for the France first team. He's just too good not to. So that's what I think for the moment. Of course, Gusto might start and might come off in the 60th minute because, like I said, Poch might just want to go super, super strong, which means also we might not see Thiago Silva. We might see, Disasi playing there as well. Do you see what I mean? There might be a few like that. But so that's what I'm going to do for my backline. A double pivot. I think Poch is just so short on midfielders, especially with Lavia and Ugachukwu out still. So I think he's going to go with Caicedo because he just has to. And I think Gallagher is going to drop down and help him a little bit more in a double pivot rather than playing in the number 10. Now, I might be a little bit ambitious here in starting Carney Chukwuemeka, but he's such a good player, man. Of course, Cesare Casadei is cup tied and can't play against the team he was playing with earlier this season and playing for well. But I feel like Chukwuemeka's ahead of him anyway. He was starting games, lest we forget, at the beginning of the season when Nkunku was injured as that number 10. So I think Chukwuemeka will get a chance. He's great, man. And I really want to see Chukwuemeka link up with all these guys that I've selected, actually. I think he can link up with them. Now, I think Mudryk gets his start. He has to. I feel like Leicester generally like to play with the ball, and I wonder if there'll be space for Mudryk to exploit and run into. I do think Mudryk will start here. It's annoying because had Madueke or Cole Palmer, if one of them could start on the left, I might put Mudryk in the number 10. I just don't see Sterling start here. You got to drop Sterling. Maybe Pochettino would be like, I like Sterling and he's not going on international break. Go on, let me play him and try and play him into form. He deserves it. He's a senior player. Let's see if we can do it. I kind of think not. Nah, man. Give Mudryk his start. I know he looks better centrally, but we can maybe jig that around a little bit. Similarly, Noni Madueke, like Chukwuemeka, actually, both called up to England U21s. I see that happening. And Nico Jackson up top. Nico seems ever present in terms of fitness. He would want to play. I kind of like what we're doing with Jackson. Just always play. If he's good to go, always play him. See how many goals we can get at the end of the season. That'll be good for him if he ends the campaign with 15 to 20 goals in all comps. Amazing. Maybe that's a bit ambitious, but 15 or over. A few assists, playing multiple positions. I think that would be great. So in terms of looking at this, you could do substitutes from Enzo, come on, push Gallagher in the 10. Palmer, come on, for Madueke. There's different kinds of things you could do here. You could technically also put Jackson there, put Mudryk there, and of course play Cole Palmer there. So play Cole Palmer as a false 9, which we've seen. Jackson as a sort of left winger, and Noni Madueke there. I mean, I tell you what, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? That does look pretty good. We might also see, of course, Noni Madueke just appearing off the bench, and Sterling might get his game as a right winger. But of course, if you look at that front three, the starting shape of that front three would go like this, and we might see that. That might be Poch's full strength. It'll be very interesting to see that, actually, with Mudryk as the number 10. That's very, very offensive, especially as that double pivot. Looking at that now, actually, that could be done quite easily. God, that is pretty scintillating, apart from maybe Sterling at the moment in dismal form. But you could start with that, and then of course, I just don't see both Sterling and Mudryk starting. I think that's way too ambitious. I do think it will be, and obviously it could possibly be this as well with Chukwuemeka. But we could see substitute appearances from, is David Washington? He could play, couldn't he? I know he's been playing for the development team. He could play. Of course, Madueke, if he doesn't start, he will almost certainly feature and get good minutes. You'd have to say like half an hour. And it really depends on how strong Pochettino wants to go. Which sort of brings us to our next question, really, doesn't it? If Chelsea lose this game, I don't want to, we'll be incredibly heavy favourites, because Leicester are a championship team. They're top of the championship, but they're coming to Chelsea, and in their heads, they're like, all we got to worry about is winning this league, right? Like an FA Cup run, I don't know if it hindered them, but might distract them a little bit. And to be honest, maybe that pressure off thing makes them play better and they beat us, which is, it's tough. Generally, they like to play with the ball. They like to play attacking football. So maybe if, Mudryk's feeling instinctive and in form, it's an opportunity for him to demonstrate more good football, get his confidence up. Rival fans would be like, yeah, it's a championship club and you're at home. Whatever, I don't care, bro. Get the numbers up. Stat paired Jackson, Mudryk, Palmer, get all their numbers up. That's all I care about, because it will make their confidence go up. Mudryk scoring an amazing goal at Stamford Bridge and everyone roaring. He loved it. Do it again. Do it again against Leicester. Leicester aren't your average EFL team. They won the Premier League friggin' not that long ago, under 10 years ago. So they're a big team. They beat us in the FA Cup, 2-3 years ago? Leicester in the final with that Tielemans goal. So this isn't like, freaking whatever, a smaller minnow team coming to Stamford Bridge. They're on a title charge, and yes, they've dropped form of late, but they've been used to winning this season. You really don't know what's going to happen. If we win, great, more confidence, season ticks over. I've kind of nailed my colours to the mast here of Pochettino. I've kind of, not that, I was going to say I've fallen out of love with him, but I was never in love with him. For me, Chelsea at the moment is the players, our assets. Can they play together? Are they happy together? How are they developing? Do they look like they've got the juice to be true Chelsea players? That's what this season is for me. Look, man, Pochettino might be the manager next season, he might not. But if he is, it means we're going somewhere. If he's not, it means we need to change. So I'm pretty stoic about that. But what is the long-term thing we've got to look at is these players on long contracts. Can they do it? Are they looking happier? The kind of under the microscope stuff. And if we go through this, round, it's an opportunity for them to develop more. Of course, they could still... I think England are doing okay in the UEFA coefficient, so I think there's an extra European spot. I think 8th gets Europe in the Premier League. I think we've got a game in hand on 10th. We could get 8th in the Premier League and qualify for Europe. I know doesn't feel like Chelsea, but this is where we are, guys, and that would represent an extra game for us to watch. We could be really negative if we won and be like, oh, it's the Conference League or whatever. But, season ends, we get a couple of players off the books we don't want, so like Ziyech and Lukaku, a little bit more of a cleanse, maybe bringing in another player that's exciting. Players get more settled and focused, and then the next season comes. And, we've got an extra game in midweek to look forward to and watch. Whoever the manager of Chelsea is gets to experiment. We might see an academy player come through, get a chance. This is what the extra competition represents and can offer us. And I think that's really good, personally. So I think we are going to win this weekend against Leicester. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet because I do think the likes of Sanchez and Thiago Silva will come in. And I think there'll be a little bit of rust and lack of cohesion. But I'm going to say... we will win 3-1 to the Chelsea. So let me know what you think. Please do comment down below and express your feelings. I was going to say feelings. And I look forward to seeing you guys back here. As always, thank you for supporting the content. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Peace.